Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be going over another beginner mate. I'm going to be covering D4. It's actually the very first mate that you should learn. This is the beginner of beginners. And I'm going to show a few different options and actually kind of showing how it happens, kind of the inverse when you're playing as white. I know that's how I lost to it first when I was starting off. I was losing, not opening with d4 as black, but playing b5 and then getting my light squared bishop out and getting it run. So I'm going to go through it a few different directions. So kind of jumping in. So this is kind of the inverse. If white opens with e3, if black plays d6 or d5, they lose. And so I feel like d6 is probably what you see. That's kind of like a beginner saying, hey, I know I don't want to move my pawn up too. Looks like my opponent's opening from the center. I'll open from the center too. And so then this is mate. And kind of the key is we're just going to run this light squared bishop through all of our pieces. So there's a pattern basically that you're going to learn, and you can use it for every single game. So like all the different lines, you can just use the same pattern. There are multiple ways to do that. I'm just going to show the way that I kind of learned the first time, and then I've been just using it for years. And you can like pre-move all this stuff. Like there's nothing that they can do about it. So first I dump my light squared bishop, which it doesn't matter what piece they take with here. It doesn't matter. And then here's, like I said, the key is that we're going to get their light squared bishop and then run it through all of our pieces. So we slide the king over, and then you can see like he's got 2 kills lined up, and we're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to keep giving him 2 kills, and since he's got 2 kills, this is going to allow us, we have like an extra tempo to free up a piece. So we're going to move our knight out, so then we can slide our rook over and then finish running his pieces. You kind of got to be a little bit careful. Like you just remember this sequence where we want to get our H pawn killed first and then bring him back to the center. So that's the main line that you learn. So now I'm going to go through if the opponent plays b5 first, and this is where it usually happens. So you open with e3. b5 comes out, and then we look here. If they play d6 or d5, at this point it's the same loss as the one that I just showed. If they like bring their knight out, we're going to get the same thing here. So again, we've got their light squared bishop that we can grab with our queen, and then kind of just the thing to note is their queen also is attacking down here, so they'll end up with 2 kills that they can choose from, and they can hold this queen until later, but basically anytime that they attack, you just capture back with your bishop. So you can pre-move all of your other moves, and then if he attacks with his queen, then you're going to have to kill his queen back, so it kind of cancels out your pre-move and you just take it with your bishop. So if he comes down here, grab it with our bishop, and then that exact same pattern that we need to memorize, go ahead and run it through. So quick and easy. Again, you just need to memorize that pattern. If we come back, I don't know if we need to. Yeah, I'll do this one. So if we come out, because there is a slight variation to this. If they move to d6 or d5, either one, so we have to kill their king, which I think you see this with beginners where they think that, like maybe they're thinking that if their king gets killed, they win the game, which isn't the case. I don't know if they're thinking that or not, but they might think that getting rid of the king's a good idea. So this loses too, so they have to capture back with the queen, and now we've got this same pattern where we get their light squared bishop. So we start running it through, and then at this point is the one spot that you need to watch out for. So typically in the pattern, we're moving our a pawn up to a4, if we were to move our A pawn up, they can attack with their queen, and then we have to capture back. So now we've like lost the easy mate, and I don't know like what this position is. This is probably still maybe better for white, maybe not. This black might be better in this position. So we don't want to be doing that. Instead, we're just going to leave this pawn here and save it till the end of the cleaning. So we're going to move the rook out, or move the knight up like we always do, and kind of like skip that A pawn move. Still run the rest of the pieces like we have been, and then at the very end we can grab their queen and throw our bishop in front of it, or throw the bishop up here like we always do. So then coming back, I've got this piece kind of lined as yellow as, if we attack it, like this is the antique defense if they take with their knight, but if they make a mistake and take with their pawn instead, then we're looking at, the cleaning again. So I'm just going to go through it fast. You should be able to start to memorize these moves, and there it is. And then another option that I want to show that I've seen is opponents bringing their pawn or their knight out, or it could be something random like this. But basically, if I'm gonna use the knight here, if they take with their queen or their bishop, both of those positions lose. So kind of, let's say if we take with the bishop first, we've got the same pattern that we've always done where we grab it with the queen, and then if their queen comes down, we recapture with the bishop at whatever point that they do it, and we run through it. And so you'll see like this pattern always exists, and sometimes we're either missing a pawn or something is different, but it still always works the same way. If we come back and say he captures with the queen instead, ultimately we still have this bishop as a target, but what we're going to do differently is instead of taking our queen out to this space, we're going to move our G pawn up. And so what we do when we move our G pawn up, it makes it so if he were to capture with his queen, we can capture back, and now we have his bishop. And again, we can do that same pattern, like, this pawn is missing, but that's not going to make any difference. Like, we still do the same steps. So we slide our king over, run the pattern, and so instead of like, we won't have that piece to move up, or just move up our outside pawn and come back in, and it's killed. If we come, let's see, back to here, if instead they capture down here with the queen, then the key is we need to capture back with our queen, because we're covering our G pawn with our queen. So obviously we don't want to be covering it anymore. And so when we do this, now we've got his bishop, and we can run the pattern. I like to, again, there's different ways to do this, lots of options, and you can win it. You can do it however you want. And for me, the easiest is to just keep doing the same pattern that I've got memorized, so I don't have to bother with anything. So I'm going to ditch the queen first. And I like to come here. If you can like bring it up here, but then he can like bring his rook over, and that kind of complicates the cleaning. So I just want to have one of these pawns move, and so then I still have the bishop, and then I slide my king over, and we do the cleaning. And again, the pawn formations are a little bit off, but I still do the same thing. I bring out the outside pawn first, and then bring him back to the center. And so there's that. And so now I'm going to jump to d4, which is what this is. We'll see if black plays d4, or no, if white plays d4, sorry, that this is a win for black. And so it's the same pattern, it's just the mirror version of it. So the key is to first move your e pawn up, so that you have your diagonals free. So he has to kill, and now we're doing the same pattern that we've done before. I like to dump my bishop first. You don't necessarily have to. You can put it somewhere else in there, but again, this is what I've memorized from the start because I want to do it just like I was doing for white. So it doesn't matter which piece he takes with. And now we're grabbing his dark squared bishop, so it's the exact same pattern we did as white, but just again it's flipped over, so it's mirrored. So then we're going to slide our king over. At any point when he brings his queen down, we recapture with our bishop, and then we run the exact same pattern, just a mirror version of it. And so there it is. So that's the D4 mate. Again, it's the very first mate that anybody that's starting Antichess should learn. And kind of an interesting note. I don't know, it's maybe like a month ago or a few weeks back. I was watching a stream where there was a grandmaster that was playing some variants, and he jumped in and played some Antichess. And his opponent opened with D4, and he didn't know the cleaning, so it's not, he didn't know that it was mate. He just played the game regular. So like, it's not something that you just naturally know, or even if you're really good at chess, like you're a grandmaster, you're not just going to figure it out. Like, you've got to play it a few times and kind of learn these traps. So memorize those lines and you'll be good to go. See you guys.